Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining today's webinar. We're very excited to have you. We hope that the insights that are shared by our amazing panelists will be helpful in the work that you do or just in your own interests. I do want to start off by thanking our panelists. These are folks from organizations and individuals that we have worked with, not just on this project, but on other projects as well. They have been wonderful partners, and you will see why they are so great to work with when they share their insights. And just real quickly, CISCRP has been dedicated to working to improve representation in clinical research with respect to diversity, equity, and inclusivity from the beginning, so more than 20 years ago. But like many organizations in the past few years, we have really ratcheted up our work in this area. And in particular, we have made sure that we are partnering with, working closely with, collaborating with, co-developing with individuals who are from those communities who have been underrepresented in clinical research. And so you'll hear about some of that work, and of course, specifically about this diversity, equity, and inclusivity video that we developed together with all the folks who are here on the panel. So again, thank you for joining. Thanks to our panelists. And now I'll pass it over to Lucas, who will moderate for us.
Hey folks, such a pleasure to be on this call. My name is Lucas Gorn, Senior Project Manager at CISCRP in health literacy. So I develop all of our deliverables that are patient and public facing to be in plain language and to be accessible. So really excited here. I'm just going to play a quick video clip for us so that we all have a shared language of this video and some of the key concepts and themes that we included in it. So I'm just going to play the first minute of this video, and then we'll go into discussion from there. So if I can just get some nods once I press play, make sure everyone can hear the audio.
Trial is a research study that involves volunteers to help answer specific health questions. Clinical trials are the only way we can develop potential new treatments, vaccines, and other ways of preventing or treating health issues. It's important to remember that clinical trials always start with one patient who decides to take part, seeking a new potential treatment. One person acting selflessly to make a difference for so many others. One volunteer willing to give hope to so many other ones. And these ones add up. But we must never forget that clinical trials must be inclusive of all types of ones. Ones from every race, age, background, and ancestry. Because unless treatments work for everyone, they work for no one.
Great. So as you can see, the one theme really important to this video. And so I think really kind of is a great thesis statement of why we did this. But I really want to pass it to Tammy and Matt, who were our partners at Praxis Media and Otsuka, who partnered with us on this video to produce it. And so maybe just starting with Tammy, if you could, in your own words, tell us why Otsuka partnered with CISCRP and Praxis on this project.
Sure. Hi, my name is Tammy Wilkins, and I'm a manager in applied innovation at Otsuka Pharmaceutical Development and Commercialization. First, let me start by saying that the opinions are my own. They're not necessarily those of my employer. And I want to make sure that when we looked into doing this video, this collaboration, it was really important to make sure that we worked with a great advocacy group. So CISCRP has truly been the spearhead for this. And for Otsuka, it was important that diversity showed not just race and ethnicity, but it also showed abilities. That we went for humanity, which is what our products and our services are about, is serving the populations that are in need. And in order to do that, it was important that that representation was clear from not just the words that were spoken, but also the visuals and the people that we had or that were chosen to represent the individuals in that video, that they were true life experiences and that they were people who understood the meaning of what it meant to really get involved in clinical research.
And I can just build on that. Hi, everybody. I'm Matt Lowe, Chief Creative Officer at Praxis. And it was really an honor to be invited to take part in this project by Atsuka and CISCRP and Lily, such strong partners and voices for diversity. And we've actually been working with CISCRP for the greater part of a decade now, just promoting clinical trials overall, but this need to include more voices and to have more diverse populations in clinical trials has just been growing to the point where it kind of can't be ignored for every trial that's recruiting. So to have an informational piece come out like this, we were on board from day one. And to have the folks who spoke on their own behalf, Mel and Ashley, and then to have Dr. Morano and Melissa, they were really the right voices to give the different aspects of the story we were trying to tell. And bringing it back to the original question of that, the idea of the theme, that's such a juxtaposition that we want diverse populations, we want so many, but really we're talking to one person. And that was why we netted out on it's all about one and speaking to one viewer and getting that one person to act, but hopefully touching so many different types of one. So that was really the idea behind that theme. And again, I think we really had the right voices at the table and really created a compelling story, we hope.
I'm biased, but I found it very compelling. And so, just getting a little behind the scenes here, we had some like very involved conversations about, how do we incorporate those DEI principles that Tammy's speaking to, that Matt spoke to so well as well. How do we embed them in this project in a way that really is representational across those axes that you spoke about, Tammy? And so I'm wondering if you can speak more about that, and just give kind of a behind the scenes look. What did it look like to determine the audiences for this video? How do we go about that process to be responsible and make sure that everyone was included? So that one that Matt, is talking about was, that people who were watching felt like that one.
Right. So it's really research, right? We looked at the research. We went back to see, what does it mean? Not just one pharma company, but in pharma overall. What does it mean to really have true representation when it comes to the drugs that are being prescribed for individuals, right? What does it mean to make sure that everyone is accounted for? And in doing that, it doesn't just take one pharma, it takes us all to really review. But we also look at the fact that as we continue to grow and have medications that come to market, we really want to be representative of everyone. And Melissa, who spoke in our video, she really broke it down for us, and in a sense of how she said, me. And that's what we looked at. We looked at the patient population. We looked at disease state prevalence to truly understand the need for medications in areas where people may not have those choices or may not be aware that they have options when it comes to clinical trials. So in doing all of the homework and really just wanting to make sure that we reach all who are in need, this was a very detailed research and not just script, but an actual representation of those who truly need clinical trials in their lives and need to learn more about them and understand how they work. So we're truly grateful for that opportunity and to have the collaboration that we did with Matt, who brought out that one individual that it really matters, and then to have Ashley and Melvin really speak on behalf of themselves and what it meant to them to be part of a clinical trial. And then to have Dr. Moreno also bring in from the site perspective. It's important that everyone be involved, but it does start with that one.
So, I'm just thinking here of everyone being involved, and you mentioned Melissa, and so Melissa Hardman, if folks haven't seen the video, is the first speaker in this video, and just just so eloquently and incredibly speaks to the need for diversity in clinical trials, and one way that we could go about achieving that, right? And that's achieving representation, right? And so, Melissa, I wonder if you can speak to that, right? Like, what does it look like to achieve representation in clinical trials, and even just speak to what you said in the video about how to go about doing that and the importance of that.
Yeah, sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Melissa. And I did have an amazing chance to participate in this video. And I jumped on the opportunity because I love the one idea because it's not just one patient or one pharma company or one CRO. It really is one of one, right? So one of everyone. And that means me and you and everyone. And I have to think about, I've had cancer and I've taken cancer drugs, and so have my family members, and I'm also minority. And so what does it look like for my children if we don't produce effective medicines for everyone that are representative of our population? And this video really helped to, portray that. What does that mean? And we get there by having this paradigm shift that is not just clinical studies or clinical research or clinical trials, but we're actually talking about healthcare. And we want to make sure that everyone understands that this is an option for care, right? Because in clinical trials, you're cared for. You're actually getting one-on-one care. And for some people, that means, I haven't had this before, and I don't get like my own practitioner, and I don't even have healthcare, but I actually get this great opportunity to take care of myself and empower other people to do the same. And I think we, our minds have to go to a place of humility, almost like a sensitive place of, it's not just about me. It's not just a paycheck. It's not literally even the drug we're talking about. It's the people at the end of the tunnel that take the drug.
It's incredible. Yeah. And I think, that advocacy really comes through in what you say in the video. It's it reminds me of, Ashley Neely also on this call, who is in the video as well, and had a really impactful, testimonial to her work, talking about volunteering for clinical trials for the COVID vaccine. And so, Melissa, when you talk about that outreach, that just kind of makes me think of Ashley's role. And so, at risk of too neat of a segue, I'm wondering if Ashley, if you can talk about even just like what that outreach and communication looks like to you, and speak to your experience doing that. And how it informed this video, because it was just a critical part. So sorry to interrupt.
That's okay. Thank you. So I'm Ashley Neely, and I'm representing a patient in a clinical trial. And for me, the video just allowed me to share my story. So I felt like I've shared my story in a variety of ways on why I did this specific trial, but it really allowed me to open up just about, in broader general terms, about why clinical research is needed, why I stepped up to be in a clinical trial to kind of ease that burden for people that are nervous about it. And then at the end of the day, just why representation is important. And as Melissa and Tammy and Matt already said, the diversity can be race, it can also be age, gender, your disability status. So also allowed me to expand upon that and actually just explore kind of in a deeper way. It's almost like a therapy session on video on why I decided to do this, right? Decided to do this and why this work is just so important, and being able to share that stage and even have those intimate conversations with the other people in the back, just being able to see a lot of the other research that they've been able to do. I was fortunate to be a healthy volunteer, but I never thought about it from the perspective of someone that actually needs the treatment and what that means for being able to get, as Melissa said, kind of in a way free healthcare. So this was really empowering for me to find this community and tribe and be able to share my story and my why to a big audience. It's my dog.
And it's great. I mean, it's amazing to hear your perspective, and it just brings me back because we got your perspectives, and they are very diverse perspectives from different positions and relationships to clinical trials. Sometimes, both as advocates and former participants. And so I think including that, right? This is a video, and so there is a visual component. And so finding ways to visually sort of convey that was one of our good challenges of this. And so I'm wondering, Matt, if you can speak to that. And so I just want to touch on this for everyone who might have already forgotten the video. You know, we have these sort of great mosaics of diversity that we wanted to incorporate to make sure that this wasn't just speaking, but that the video also visually kind of depicted this. And so, you know, Matt, if you can just talk about that, because I think, you know, Praxis was just so instrumental in making sure that the video had those components.
Yeah, that was a critical component as well, not only to hear the personal stories from Ashley and Mel, as to their motivation and why they got involved, and hear from Melissa. And I know I'm going back a little bit, but that opening statement, Melissa, you made about you need it from everybody. My body's different than your body. Like, that resonates with me so well. So to have viewers be able to see themselves, we had to show more than just these couple of folks. So we did want to create that tapestry, that mosaic, if you will, of different types of patients, so that somebody viewing it is going to see themselves and say, oh, they're speaking to me. They're speaking to, I'm the one they're talking to right now. So we sourced a number of these moving portraits, and then we also did moving portraits with our interviewees so that we could then punch in, and it was sort of this seamless in and out, so that they're part of this tapestry, but then they also have this story to tell. So that was very important, that we had many different peoples, and it wasn't just about race, but about age and ability and gender, because again, we need that data from everybody to take part. If we're going to really have treatments that work for everybody, they have to work for everybody, and just showing everybody so that we can compel them to want to get involved. I mean, just yesterday, my mother's having a procedure and said, oh, I was approached about being in a clinical trial. Should I do it? And I was like, well, okay, it shows I have more work to do, because it's not penetrating with you that this is a responsibility we have. And yeah, absolutely, you have to. It's all of us. It takes all of us.
Yeah, and just to speak to that last point, you know, it really does take all of us. And so I think one thing that CISCRP really takes seriously and tries to bring to this process is getting as many voices in this as possible. And so that's the folks that are assembled today. But when developing these materials, we also looked back on other deliverables that we've created, materials, patient-facing and public-facing materials we've created that have been tested with over 6,000 people, from a broad range of communities to make sure that they're culturally competent, that the images and language that we use are culturally competent, and that they are able to be understood by a broad swathe of people and resonate as well. And so, that process and that we've been doing at CISCRP for over a decade now was really brought to bear on this, to make sure that our script, our themes, the language that we used were rigorously tested, right? So to make sure that that this material would resonate in that way. Having said that, I'm going to share this video again, because I think that's a good segue to our video of Melvin. So I just want to transition to this next part here and show you this great video of Mel. So here, I'm just going to share here. All right, and then I'm going to press play, and then we're just going to hear Melvin speak about his experience.
Number ones.
My name is Mel Mann. I am a retired Army major, and in 1995, I was diagnosed with chronic myeloid leukemia. Clinical trials are very important.
So I find that part by Mel, always touching. And Mel, you're a rock star, and folks just in this community, are blown away by your story. And I know when we were playing your story, we really wanted to give it its sort of full depth. And so I'm wondering if you can talk about, the importance of highlighting your experience, as a to highlight, why diversity is important in participation, and how we balance that, right, as an invitation to participate and also to get involved in clinical research. And, the difference is, in sometimes, right, clinical research is something that folks participate in because it's that last option, as you discussed, right? But since then, you've also been involved in ways to make clinical research more culturally competent, right, and expansive. And so I'm wondering if you can just talk to that, right, and how you balance those different perspectives in your clip here.
Sure. I think I lost part of the communication. I didn't hear the part of it, but part of the video was I was talking that I was a successful survivor of 28 years, and that I was able to get in on the trial at the beginning, and I only had a certain time, and which was 3 years to live. And I got in at the 3-year mark around that time. And I wanted to show that, kind of like I'm exhibit A, that you can get tomorrow's medicine today. And at the same time, I wanted to disrupt the concerns and the myths that may be out there that was spoken to acknowledge them. Yes, because I'm part of the community, so I do have an understanding of what concerns may be a part of the community, and likewise with the different communities. But it's all about education, and education in the layman's way, not in a very academic with a lot of syllables and all that, but just to break it down and show a success story. And like I said, and what's been said before, to explain that you can get medicine and that you will be looked at. You're not an experiment. You're not a number. You're a participant. You're a person. And I wanted to make sure that people are that they are open to that option. So that was a very big part of what I wanted to portray. And also I feel that people can trust me because they can see the actual process. They can see videos of me if they wanted, when I was in the military, asking for a bone marrow donor that I never found, but I found a clinical trial which served it better. It was better than the bone marrow transplant. So just so that people can be familiar with the options, and maybe just like put away some of the fears that they may have and give clinical trials a chance.
Thank you, Mel. I was going to ask about some of your work with CISCRP and, working in plain language and getting that out, but I think you really summarized that really well, right? Some of your more general work, in this community and in your initiatives that you partake in. I do want to be mindful of time here. We have about 5 minutes left, and so I know that we wanted to allocate that time for the Q&A. So if we do have any questions from the audience, definitely take a look at those and give them to appropriate member of the DEI video team. Do we have any questions coming in? I don't know if Lindsay, if you've seen any. Okay. Sounds like we're not seeing any questions yet.
I heard from somebody on our end that the chat was disabled.
Oh. Well, that could be it.
With a couple hands raised too.
Yeah.
Somebody on my end, if I can submit a question from my team, asked, how did Ashley, Melvin, and Melissa get comfortable on camera? What was that process like?
Well, it was a process for me. I've been doing it before for a long time, but it's always each time you go up there, you have to kind of prepare yourself for the first few minutes, and then the first little part, and then you kind of like forget all about it, and then you kind of go through. But those always have the butterflies.
I definitely had butterflies, but Matt and the team was very good at making you feel comfortable, sort of like this is a topic that I talk about all the time. Like had you asked me about gardening, I probably would have been a little bit more apprehensive and still, but because we were talking about something that is real to me, I'm very passionate about, and I dream about it. I literally dream about health equity all the time. And I do this work every day. So it was kind of like just talking about what I talk about every day and try not to think about the fact that there's a camera in my face. I don't think I was very good at panning, but it wasn't that hard, I think, because we were talking about things that we know and we're passionate about.
Yeah, and I was going to say the same thing. It felt like just a conversation that you would be having with a friend more than like an interrogation or anything like that. And really just someone that's listening to understand and then making you bring that out more in your story. That's what it really felt like for me.
That's what we always try to do when we do these kinds of videos, and this video content is to make it like we're having a conversation and talk way longer about things than we're actually going to need or that we're actually going to use, and then give it to our editing team, and then they get to sort it out afterwards. But you guys gave us so much good content. That was the challenge of narrowing down exactly what bits we wanted to use, because you guys were all just such naturals and had amazing stories to tell.
And I can second that as someone who was there that day and just saw how incredible you folks are on camera. It was really something to see, and also just full credit to Matt for being such an amazing behind the camera producer and really just asking those questions. Just wanted to give you a shout out publicly because it was great to see you in work too. I actually do have one more question though. I know I've got a minute here left, and I just wondering if Tammy, you can speak to some of the ways that the video is now being used and disseminated. Because put a lot of work in here. So what's Otsuka got planned?
Right. So overall, we do community awareness events, which for clinical trial awareness, and we use videos for those types of events to share, not just with the community at large. When we say populations, right? We look to share with caregivers as well as potential patients, but also with sites and investigators, because it's important that on both sides of pharma that there is diversity and communication and humanity and compassion and empathy. All of that serves us. And when I say us, I'm not saying pharma. I'm saying it serves us. It serves all of us. And being able to share a video in that way and of course, CISCRP, you guys have it on your platform, which is wonderful as well from an advocacy perspective. But from a pharma perspective, it is very important that we make sure that we're connecting the dots with sites, their staff, their principal investigators, as well as caregivers and those who would be participating.
Thanks, Tammy. On that note, we're just a minute over here, so I just want to thank everyone so much for tuning in and for all the participants and panelists here for being part of this. Really just such a pleasure working on this project with you. Note to everyone who is listening on CISCRP's website and social media, we have the full video and clips. If you haven't had a chance to see it, please do. It's really just fantastic, and everyone here put in so much work to make it incredible. So again, thank you for tuning in, and thank you everyone so much for participating today. It's just a pleasure working with you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.